Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Lian M-ATX or Micro ATX case, and it's the PC-A04. Because it's black and because of the lighting in the room and all that kind of stuff, and like the camera buggering about, what I'm going to do pretty much straight away is bring the camera in and we'll have a good look around the case, have a look inside, and we'll just do all the normal TTL, OC 3D kind of like looks, analysing, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'm going to pick it apart and we'll see what it looks like. Right then, my lovelies, as I say in my best West Country accent in a place I've never been to. Anyway, want to quickly get out of the way. The back panel isn't on, but I will get to that in a moment. Straight away on the top, where all the I/O is, we've got an eSATA, a USB 3, USB 2, your headphones and your microphone, and then your normal power and reset buttons. On the top we've also got a 120mm fan mount with a fan in there, a bit of mesh. There's no dust proofing or anything like that. On the front there's the two optical bays and then the mesh area, which is the intake. And what I'm going to do is, in my best trying to do it with one hand way, and shaking you all over the place, is take that front off. I'll give you a quick look. As you can see, it's just Lian perforated. The whole case is brushed aluminium, just the usual sexy Lian understated look. The reason why I took the front off is to show you the two 120mm intake fans are both dust filtered, which is always nice, and it's the quite fine mesh. My camera should get there eventually. There we go. It's quite a fine mesh. Now I'm going to sit down and move the case around. I do apologise for the shaking, but it's just a lot easier than keep moving the case and cutting in and out. Right, first thing I want to show you is the screws on the back. This is the first time I've ever seen this on a Lian case, so I want to draw attention to it. They've put rubber grommets on the screws. Now that's not a massive thing, but it's just a sign of the attention to detail. I quite like this little feature. We'll take the other one off as well, which is down here, but while I'm taking that off, the power supply mount at the bottom can be turned around, so you can have the power supply whatever way you like. But the other good thing about these mounts is Lian do adapters to move the power supply out. So if you have a massive power supply and need an extra bit of room inside, you can actually space the power supply further back here. It's all available on the Lian website. Now we've got a single grommet, so no good for water cooling, but the idea is that's where the USB 3 goes. You can pop it in the back if you've got USB 3 on the board. This one I haven't, but yeah. And another thing I will note, now I can bring the case around and I'll pop the side off. Now this is when we're going to be doing most of our chatting. Right, in the back of the case, I'm not sure whether that's a 60 or an 80mm mount. I'm positive it's an 80mm mount. It doesn't come with the case, it's just a bit of mesh there. But it does come with the roof 120mm exhaust and a 220mm intakes. So you could fit a fan in this if you like. It really depends on the amount of heat that you're going to be creating in your case. Now, optical bays. These are both toolless. They are actually quite easy when you've got two hands and you're not trying to hold onto a camcorder to get them off. There we go, and then you can just pop them back in again. Nice, toolless, lovely, easy. Now, the gap between the two hard drive mounts, if I put my ruler in, you're looking at about 270mm. Don't forget I've got the little bit at the end, so we'll say 265, I reckon we'll say 265, 270, And then you've got, if I get my big mammoth tape measure, really is a big mammoth tape measure as well. You've got about 375, 380 millimeters if you take the hard drive cage out. Now this cage here can be removed. You can just undo these 2 screws and you can take that whole section out. But also, quite cleverly, and I really like this, if you have a look there, there's an extra screw. You can undo that, undo these 2 screws as well, and whereas at the moment all of your cables would be on the outside, so you'd see them, this whole cage can be rotated and you can have the cables on the back side, which is very good. If you have the cages the way they are now, you may come into some issues with the SATA, because as you can see that's going to be blanked off. But when you rotate it round, and it's round the other way, this is clear. So, very nice touch there. I've been wanting to see this with a Lanley for so long, or in a Lanley for so long, so they do deserve quite big props for this, because with that now been able to be rotated, not only can you decide how you want your hard drives, you're not going to get any problems with your motherboard where it is a small case. You can run whatever size graphics cards you want. As you, like I said, you can spin it round. You can have the, because of the way the screws are on the bottom, that is a screw head, you can have the smaller cage on the bottom or the larger cage on the bottom. It's all been very well thought out. This front hard drive cage thing is brilliant. May sound simple, but the amount of options that you get to choose from with that hard drive cage layout is nothing short of brilliant, especially in such a small case. They do deserve big props for that. Obviously, I just want to reiterate, we have got a small fan at the back, but that's to keep the size of the case down. It's not very wide, and I'll just measure for you quickly in the same kind of raw way. If I pop it down to the motherboard, you're probably going to get a max of 150mm height CPU fan in there. So yeah, 150mm height CPU fan. But what I would say with that is, if you're looking for something with extra performance, go for one of the face down coolers. And then you won't get too many problems. There are several options out there, or you can just use what this is only an i3 system that I've got in here at the moment, and obviously this is a small heat sink, so it doesn't create a lot of heat, and I'd be quite happy to leave it blowing out the back. Mainly the reason why I would say in this case leave it blowing out the back was because if you've got a graphics card in the first slot, all your heatsink's going to be doing, if you tilt it round and have it facing upwards, is sucking hot air off your graphics card, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Now what I want to do is now turn the case around again and get to the back. Now I've got a Corsair TX650 in here just to show you. Now that's an awful lot of cables because it's non-modular. Now there's not a great deal of room behind the board. It's not really going to allow you to hide many cables up the back. Also, if you have a look, now if you turn the fan cages, the hard drive cages around, it won't be as much of a problem, but there's not a lot of room down there for cables. So all I'm saying is, if you get in this case, really consider getting yourself a modular power supply, because there's not really anywhere, if you want to keep things tidy, to try and keep all the cables hidden out the way. Obviously if you're not going for looks and you don't mind having all your cables nestled here, then it won't be too much of a worry, but if it was me, I really would say get yourself a decent modular power supply, and also really do think about where you're going to put the cables put some time aside to be able to cable it properly. Also, turning the case back round, what I would say is up here there is a cutout for the 8-pin power to go through, and there's also a cutout up here to be able to pass your cables through. I've already done this. Now there's not a lot of room to be able to put the cables through, but the roof is easily removed. There's 2 screws this end, 2 screws the other end. You can pop the roof off very easily. Now I would suggest for everyone that's building this case, take the roof off, build your rig and put the roof on before you put all the side panels and stuff on. Really would do that bit last. Get everything else tidy, because it makes it so much easier for you to be able to get in and work around the rig without that roof on. I ended up putting the 8-pin up through the back of the motherboard, but if you take the roof off you can get it done very easily. Now you can see at the top we've got the fan there. You could flip the USB 3 up out the way quite tidily if you wanted. Something I have just realised, which I didn't mention and I should have, so I apologise, is the fact that all the hard drive cages are grommeted as well. But it would be best to take the hard drive cages out, mount your hard drives and then put them in, because they need to be screwed in, and they're not necessarily, well, they're not like they've got no quick release mechanism or anything like that. So these cages need to come out, have the hard drives fitted and then slid back in. So again, you do need to kind of like think about what you're doing, otherwise you're going to end up doing everything several times. Now if I get up and stand away, put the case over, there we go. I can see that being a lovely little M-ATX rig that you could take to a LAN or something like that, 'cause it's quite small, it's quite tidy because it's LAN Li. Also, because of the hard drive cage, you can put a big graphics card in as well, but there's the option of 7 hard drives there, so this could make a terribly nice server as well. Obviously you'd have to play with configurations and stuff like that, but anyway, what I'm going to do now is that we've had a good chinwag. All I need to do now is get this wrapped up. Right then guys, the LAN Li PC-A04, or the A04 as most of us are more than likely to call it. I really like this. Price, looking about, a few retailers got it for about £85 to £90. So it's an expensive M-ATX case. But to be perfectly frank, it's probably one of the better made M-ATX cases. It's all aluminium and it does have a lot of features. The only thing that's really letting it down is the cable routing. But with some clever kind of management, or a bit of forethought, knowing what you want, and using a modular power supply, and also, like I said, just kind of putting a bit of time in to make sure you put the cables in there and don't just pretty much cover everything in super glue and throw it at the case. You could make a tidy rig. Like I said, you just need to put the time in. So the price is a bit of a niggle, but again, like I said, it's all aluminium. It's again, it's LAN Li, so the build quality is there, and like with the hard drive cage and stuff like that. There's so many options with it because it is a small case. It's very small, light, and compact. But with this, I can't really get over it. This is the way things should be done. This is such a simple thing to just look at, but then when you realise how many different ways you can mount it, turn it round, all the other options you get with like graphics cards and stuff, it's an absolute wonder. It's very, very good. To the point where it's, for the first time in a long while, I've been looking at this actually thinking of, oh, I could do this, I could do that. Can move that there, put that there, use this, use that. It's really had me sort of like, it's got all my brain juices going. And I don't mind saying it, because I do like to talk to the regulars in most of the videos, to the point where I'm actually looking at this and thinking, how can I get my server in here? So we'll just, it's that nice. I really do like it. So, what would I give it out of 10? I'd probably give it a solid 8. And Really the only kind of little niggle again would be the price, but at the end of the day if you're paying for quality, but it's just where it's an M-ATX case, and there'll be a lot of people going, oh it's too expensive, but at the end of the day I very, very much like this case. And for an M-ATX case, it's brilliant. All dust filtered. Yeah, okay, it's not got a 120mm fan in the back, but that's because of the size of the case. They've still got another one up in the roof for you, so you've got plenty of airflow. Yeah, it ticks all the boxes. It could be great for many users. At the end of the day, if you need a small rig, whether it's for a LAN rig, whether you just want a small gaming system, whether you're looking for an M-ATX server case, seriously guys, this is absolutely brilliant. To the point where, quite surprisingly, and I've not done this with a case for some time now, I would go as far as to say that this is probably a gold award winning case for an M-ATX rig. And no, not probably, it is a gold award winning case for an M-ATX rig. To be perfectly frank, if it was a smidgen cheaper, I couldn't really, make it any better anyway, but that's my only reservation. I know that a lot of people or there will be a proportion of people that are going to be looking at an M-ATX case because it's going to be cheaper. And this isn't necessarily the cheapest M-ATX rig on the market, but with all the options and everything, it's very, very good. Yeah, very happy with it. Like I said, small niggles, cable management, but you can get around that if you're clever and you're willing to put the time in. And the price, but to be frank, or to be fair I should say, if you do pay for the case, when it gets to you, you'll understand why. Also, with the LAN leads, where they come with such a lovely plain side, you could easily cut yourself a nice custom window in the side of this to show off all your parts. And if you did want to, for argument's sake, I was going to say you could water cool it, but it's just where the fan is, it's a little bit too close to the motherboard, so that would be a bit tight. And so you wouldn't be able to get a H50 in there really either. So maybe a bit late in the room, but I do need to kind of mention that. Yeah, you won't be able to get a H50 in the top. You could get it in the front though. Also, really, if you were really that intent on it, you probably could, if you were, happy to get your tools out and stuff like that, you probably could shoehorn in a 240mm radiator in the front of the case if you were happy to lose one of your optical bays, and you weren't afraid to get your jigsaw out and do a bit of drilling as well and put a water cooling grill in the front. You could get it all in there. So you could do an awful lot with this case. It could really be a wicked proper little modding case where you can really spend your time on making it look good. I'm not a fan of optical bays anyway, so to be perfectly frank, I would be more than happy to get that, lose the optical bays and probably chuck a solid state drive in there. But this is what I mean, I've gone off on such a tangent about the amount of things that you can do with this case. It's got that many options with it. So to be perfectly honest, nice one, Lanley. This is one of the cases recently I've really enjoyed looking at. So I'm going to stop yabbering and stare at this and let my mind do all the thinking rather than just talking to the camera and trying to explain it to you. Yeah, Lanley A04 Gold Award. Only tiny little niggles. It's the cable routing, but we know why it's like that because it's so small. And then the price, but that's just where it's, do you know what I mean? It is an M-ATX case and everything like that. So, but I'm still more than happy to give this a gold award. So yeah, congratulations Lanley, an epic case. Oh, I don't really want to start doing stuff like that like other modders or other reviewers, do I? But anyway, definitely gets the Tiny Tom Logan thumbs up. Overclock 3D Gold Award, and yeah, I'm going to box off. Keep an eye open for videos very soon. Tiny Tom Logan out.